Welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange Podcast. Stories by leaders for leaders to help you raise the bar on your own excellence, to release the potential inside of you. Now, here's today's podcast. Don Green and Hugh Ballou, Green and Ballou together.
Oh, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, it does. This channel we're on is the Nonprofit Exchange. We have videos that we post on our site, Center Vision. I took synergy and vision and came up with my brand. It's the synergy of a common vision. And a lot of that inspiration came from reading Napoleon Hill's work, a lot of different things. So I'm sitting in the Napoleon Hill Foundation. We're in the bottom part of the Commonwealth of Virginia, almost Tennessee, almost Kentucky. Lovely mountains. Out the window, we see the University of Virginia, the Wise campus, and I understand that you have the lowest student debt ratio or percentage of any college in the country.
That's right.
And you teach the laws of success there. But you've been a banker, you've been successful in a business career. We're going to talk to people who are running charities. I prefer the word charity and nonprofit because there's so many people that think we can't use good business principles in a charity. It's really, nonprofit's not a philosophy, it's a tax classification. So this whole series is sharing really sound business principles with those who are charged with leading a charity, a synagogue, a church, or association, some sort of organization. Napoleon Hill Foundation, naphill.org, is a 501c3, and I'm quite impressed with Don Green himself. He's been very successful in business, done many different things. He's successful in running this organization, and he's never going to retire. You and I decided that earlier today. I'm going to reach across you and get this book. You've re-released Think and Grow Rich with the original cover, and it says at the top, for men and women who resent poverty. And we put on a dumb hat with charities, and we think we can't generate profit. But profit is like putting gas in your car. We got to go somewhere. So I want to ask you a couple of things to share, and then whatever's on your heart. We're speaking to people who are passionate about a vision, and we're compromised in some of the operational pieces. There's six principles that you will read out of here that are really important in success principles. And then how do you employ those in the work you do here? I'm sitting in this office. We're sitting at a desk that actually belonged to Napoleon Hill and was given to Don Green. And here's a picture of Napoleon Hill sitting at this desk. And Don gets to sit at this desk every day. It's partially engraved, and it's lovely oak. And all around us are historic pictures of Napoleon Hill. And we talked earlier, we dispelled the rumor that Napoleon Hill died broke. You've got a certified copy of his will of more than $1 million, and you've got pictures of him in his home in Greenville, South Carolina, where he died, with a picture of a Cadillac in the background. So, and somebody said he sold his typewriter for $10. Well, I saw the typewriter in the next room, and very shortly, they're going to open a museum here and have a lot of these things on display. So keep in touch with that, naphill.org, the organization. And so we're speaking to people who are passionate about running a 501c3, C6, C10, whatever they're running, a charitable organization. So welcome, Don Green. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you, Hugh. I've been involved in charity for a long time. I learned it from my mother at of course, the verse out of the Bible says, more blessed to give than receive. And I've tried to practice that, learned from my mother, who grew up during the Depression, one of 16 children, but she was always one out of her way. And it doesn't always necessarily mean money, but I've been involved in charities, and I've been told by people, well, it's not about the money. Well, it is about the money. You try to run an organization, it's a business. Mm-hmm. Take it how you want to. If you've got a household and you only got so much money in, what you do with that money is determined by how much you get in. You take a certain amount to operate on. But you can't do a lot of things without money. And so handling people's money, where it's donations or how you earn it through what you're doing, it is a business. So it makes sense to use business principle that works. There's no difference in running this nonprofit than running profit. We deal with books, publications, audios, courses, and material that brings us in money. And we do the same with it. If someone had died and left it to us, we take that money for causes that tries to fulfill our mission, which is simply making the world a better place in which to live. And we could not do that. We could not hold seminars all over the world. We could not provide scholarships. We could not publish this material of Napoleon Hill's if we didn't have money. It takes money to do it. So it's run on good principles. We think we're good stewards of the money. We can see the effects we've had. And any charity should be able to demonstrate that here's where we made a difference, whether it's cleaning up a park, providing scholarships, doing medical research. But I can't think of too much of it. Somewhere along the line, that money ends into it. And it is a business. I mean, for example, you can't be involved in lots and lots of things and still keep your nonprofit status.
Correct.
You know, there's a 990-PF you got to file for federal government, and there's a whole list of things down through there that are prohibited, and you've got to meet the legal requirements for a 501c3 nonprofit. And it's important, and no matter where you look at it, you need people around you who has a business background, whether it be legal, accounting, or just business. You need, if you're really going to reach your potential and be a success with a nonprofit.
Let me interject there. You're so right. We really need to learn and install good business principles. We do have regulations, IRS regulations, and you offer books and seminars. They are related to your mission. And so IRS wants to make sure that our business streams are related. So it's not classified as unrelated business income, and then it becomes taxable. So you're right. You have a good accountant. You have a good board that has oversight. But there are lots of things that we don't do that we could be and maybe should be doing. And you've practiced in your life, in your business life and other charities, you've practiced these principles, and you model and influence others. And you were telling me at lunch how you've attracted major publishers, major leaders from all over the world because they understand what you stand for. And you just don't sit behind this desk. You got a phone, you got a car, you're everywhere, and you're very active. So the principles there, can you highlight? There's 6, and this is in the chapter of desire.
Yes.
And Think and Grow Rich. Let me point out, we do have this in my series. David Gruder, who's an organizational psychologist, a few weeks ago, I had an interview about the money shadow. And we have this thing that pushes money away because we have this inherited bias. And so I think listening to his interview helps us get our financial hat on straight, because we actually sometimes repel what we need the most. And money is everything if you don't have it, because you're trying to do the work for free and you were begging, when really social responsibility as a charity is to create more than one stream of revenue. You do have donors, but there's 8.
No, we don't count on them. But
yeah,
there's no reason you can't earn your money. I know a lot of people says that that they can't do that or can't do this or whatever, but they follow good business principles. And I mean, what would the store, the little girl selling lemonade till she gets thousands and thousands of customers from just setting up a simple lemonade stand? That's business practices. She can turn by backpacks for other kids or whatever, but that's charity. But she had a business sense of something what someone wanted, and it would be. She would not got a little bit of money if she'd have set up out there with a cup and says, "I'm buying students backpacks." She might have got a little bit of money, but she gave them people something or other. She gave them lemonade.
That's a key point. The money is a result of value. We give value, and what I see happening with the Napoleon Hill Foundation under your leadership is that you've provided immense value to people, and it manifests itself in income. And so we help people, we give them value, and it comes back. We don't chase the money, we chase the value, but we are very clear about the business principles that attract the money. Am I resonating?
You are very, very well, because we have to have something other that people wants and be able to pay for it. They want a better life, and they've read these stories of people affected by Think and Grow Rich. And for them to acquire the information, they're willing to pay for it. And the publishers know that. They know that. He's much more popular today than he was when he died in 1970, because the principles work. You know, I don't care if you go down through Martin Victor Hansen, Tony Robbins, Billy Ray Cyrus, Steve Harvey, Draymond Johnson, another tremendous example. It's got the program on TV. The examples are a mile long. And so I'm thinking, well, you know, if it worked for all them people, why would it not work for me? I mean, you know, that's almost common sense. You know, it's
Amen.
And if we need to make changes, was Einstein that said, if we're a failure and we're not getting what we want, we keep doing the same thing over and over again, but expect a different result. That's the perfect definition of insanity. You've got to change, and this change starts from within. And how we learn that change was being around other people. One of our good friends, whose picture is hanging on my wall over there, Zig Ziglar, said, autograph picture. I did a fundraiser at a Christian college. And he said, he would say, and so would Tremendous Jones, who would say things like, if you want to be a winner, said, hang around winners. And said, if you want to be a loser, guess what? It's not hard to figure out, but the thing again is, it's that per choice. We can choose whether or not we want to run with people that's on drugs, or whether we want to run with people who's trying to get an education, learn a business trade, or what have you. So we become the average of the people we spend most of our time with.
We become the average of the people we spend. That comes from Clement Stone, doesn't it?
That we become the average of people we spend most of our time with. It doesn't matter for good people, with good habits, or bad people. You know, we become a product of that. Everybody we associate with, you know, I'm not going to be the same person after sitting down and listening to you today, because believe it or not, I'm the only one in church, as far as I know, that takes notes.
Really?
Yeah. If there's anybody else, I've never seen them, and don't mean to be brag or anything, but if there's anybody in there don't need to take notes, people would think it would be me with the life I've led. But I don't know when that guy's going to say something other. I mean, like last Sunday, a wonderful story about about Abraham's wife being 75 years old. And she laughed when he told her she could have a baby, and the word translates into Isaac, which is the name of their the son. It's a wonderful story, and you know, and of course that what she was saying basically means ha ha. Now we have changed ha ha to LOL in our communications, and now we've even went further. We've changed it to a smiley. But I thought, well, you know, that's a great story, you know, and so I got it down in my notes, and so we learn from being around other people. Now the Presbyterian minister, Reverend Guy, he's actually a CPA by training, and he thought he had a calling, and he quit working for a big firm, went back to theology schools, and it's obviously he has a passion for what he's doing. And so we can learn from other people.
Well, I've learned from you today. This has been a great day. We went to lunch, and we've had one interview, and this is another one. But we've teased the people there about these six. This is in the desire chapter. So give us the list.
Well, of course, when Hill did it, you know, a lot of people say it's not just about making money, but he wrote the book Think and Grow Rich for men and women, millions of men and women living in poverty, fear of poverty. So he initially started out, it was about money, but this applies to doing anything. He said, fix in your mind the exact what you desire. It's not enough to say, I want plenty of money, because plenty of money would be $50 in Africa, in Kenya or someplace or another.
Definitely.
So we have to have a different number. Said, well, you know, I want to lose some weight. Well, I mean, is it 1 pound or 40 pounds? You know, we have to specify.
Yes.
We have to be, a goal has to be specific. And he said, determine exactly what you turn to give for the money. Well, that's pretty simple, and it doesn't have to be money. He said, what do I have to do to lose weight? Well, you know, we know two things. One is we've got to take in less calories, and the other was we can burn both of them up. If we work at both of them, we'll get there quicker.
All right.
And the same way with our debts, third grade math. If we start taking in more money than we're doing, or we spend less money on what we've been spending, and if we'll do both those things, we'll reach our goals quicker. But
define what you want, and what are you going to give for it? What's the next one?
He said, put a date to it.
Put a date to it. Oh, my.
I said, as we said, someday is not on the calendar. Someday I'm going to go business plan, or I'm going to start studying this, or I'm going to do that. Some days not on the calendar. We got today. Yesterday's gone. We may not have tomorrow, but we got today, and today is the day to start. And he talks about set up a plan for carrying it out. Now, most everyone waits till they get a perfect plan. As far as I know, there's not a perfect plan. Edison had a plan to create a light bulb, but it wasn't perfect because 10,000 things didn't work. He finally found something that wouldn't burn when electricity was put up to it. He would get a light and it'd blow out. And he found something that would last for hours and hours and hours. And, of course, now we've got improvement. We have bulbs that last more than a year. That was the fourth thing. But then he says to write it down. Because I said the reason we write things down is, Hugh, we make a contract with yourself. You're basically saying in writing, and you look at it every day 5 times. I used to write mine on the inside of my cars. I wore a suit in the banking business. And if I'm in a red light or eating, waiting on someone or something, I pull them out and say, gosh, you ain't done nothing about that. And you got this and done. You cross it out. And whatever you have constantly have them in front of you written down as to which you put up a marker, get a book published. I still do it today. I start working on it about November or December, what I'm going to accomplish next year. And I keep running ahead of myself. I'm kind of like Mr. Stone was. I probably need to live at least be 100 to get everything done. But I still do it. And I did it forever and ever and ever. I used to show them to my wife. And you're going to have that kind of money? She said, some reason I believe you, but don't show nobody. I said, hey, I don't go around showing stuff like this to people.
So clear, concise plan is number 5. And number 6 is?
Number 6 is read the statement aloud. We're taught by repetition. And the more we see that thing, it becomes a part of our subconscious. As we demonstrated, our ABCs, we learn them by repeating them. I never got them the first time. I wasn't that smart. I never got Think and Grow Rich the first time. I read it at a real young age, and I still read it because the book hasn't changed. The principle hasn't changed. But I have changed. I've been exposed to more books. I've been exposed to people like you, people that talk success, and I pick up a little here and a little there. And I remember part of it. I wish I could remember it all. But if I just get one little tidbit that I can use, then I'm a better person. And so when I read the material again, it's the same, but I look at it in a different manner. And so that's important because we learn by repeating our ABCs, or it be our multiplication tables. And so it's important that we repeat stuff until it becomes a part of our subconscious mind. Absolutely. But you know what?
Absolutely.
We can repeat good things or bad things.
Oh, yes.
And then those things that we do constantly becomes a habit, whether it's putting on our shoes or smoking a cigarette. We do them, but we have a choice. But we do them till they make habits. And in the end, the habits make us.
You apply these. Bad. Oh, we do. And we give energy to what we think about, don't we?
Yes.
As James Allen said, that's one of the books that Jim Rohn emphasized too, is that we don't attract what we need, we attract what we are.
Yeah, you'll see it on my back shelf.
Oh, will you? This set of 6 things are universal. Doesn't matter what era we live in. Doesn't matter if you're boomer or millennial. Those apply. And you and I have met people, and they give us all kinds of excuses, which aren't reasons. There's a difference in excuse. And you said, have you read, you've gone from asking them if they've read Think and Grow Rich to when they read it. Oh, I read it 15 years ago and it didn't work anymore. Well, maybe it's time to reread it. Maybe you've learned something. Maybe you're ready to learn the next thing. Maybe there's something you missed. And I've got a good friend who's on my podcast, Ken Courtwright. He runs 800 high revenue websites and has several hundred people in his business. And he learned from someone, and he says, I go back, I read a book, and I outline it. He mentioned this book. I outline things in yellow. Then I go back and read it a couple months later, and I highlight it in a different color. And I find that I highlight different things because I'm ready to learn the next steps.
I've always had that habit. When my daughter was away in college, I was constantly sending her books. And of course, I had read them, and I would use a yellow marker or put a red star by it or something or other. It's colorful. And she did not tell me, but she told her mother. She said, Daddy don't know how busy I am in school, and said I can't read all them books he does, so I just read what he's underlined. So it accomplished something or another.
I've underlined things.
I've underlined,
Think and Grow Rich, because there's lots of little things. And this book too, I've got a little paperback that I keep reading. It's about to fall apart. Yeah. I've also got it on my iPad Kindle reader, and I highlight different things in there, and it's a good resource. And reading that part of Desire every day and reading your goals every day, you're programming your subconscious. Now, I've talked to Don on the phone. I decided I want to drive down to Wise, Virginia today, and it was wise of me to do that. I'm very impressed with Don and what he's done in his life, but what he's doing now, and he's converting his passion. My other podcast is Converting Your Passion to Profit in all of its forms. Profit is money, but it's other. What does a man profit if he loses his soul? There's lots of ways that we profit from good works. You are passionate about the mission here. You have a good board. You have a really good staff. You're active here, and you're dialing up people all over the world, sharing the new books that you publish on an ongoing basis. Now, share with people you run a charity. It's a 501c3. You didn't put on the stupid hat when you came in. You didn't dumb down to the scarcity thinking that so many charities do. We have a pity party that we don't have money when we, in fact, are our own worst enemy. So my guess is not only have you used those principles in banking and business in your personal life, but you use those with this foundation as principles to run this foundation.
Oh, yeah. This is, people mention my Rolodex.
Oh, my goodness.
I've got 2 drawers of them, and this is people goes all the way back to banking. So there'll be a card in there on Hugh Ballou, and it will say March 29th, 2017. Hugh interviewed me for a podcast. So let's see, I'll be 90 in 13 years. Someone calls and says, Hugh Ballou's on the phone. Somebody sound like a 90-year-old man. I'll pull out his card. Oh, yeah, Hugh, I remember you interviewed me. It impresses people. I don't tell them I'm looking at a card, but just a little bit of thing back, and then all of it comes back to you. And that was one of the things I learned in banking, because and it just some things just helped. I had a habit of, you see a stack of cards back there, of sending thank you notes to the bank. I would go to the counter even at quit time, and I'd say, hey, anybody wait on anybody would really sit down? One of the girls said, did you see that old lady come in here carrying that bag of money? She said it was coins. Said she's saving it for a kid to start a college fund for it. And said, I counted it and rolled it on. I don't remember what it was, $148 or something like that. So I said, give me her address. So I go back there and I said, and I thanked her for coming in, open up a new account, and making a deposit. And so I guess 4 or 5 days, they said this lady wanted to talk to her on the phone. She said, Mr. Green, she said, I've showed everybody. They can't believe I deposited that little money and I got a card from the president of the bank. Said, I have told everybody. See, I couldn't have got that story put in the paper. I couldn't. And I'm sure she may not know nobody had money. But for what little I did, for the return I got was unbelievable. I did it with no intention whatsoever, just other than that maybe she'll feel good to know that we appreciate it. But then she took it from there and did my work for me. But there's thousands of stories like that. There's somewhere you do it. For example, I see November. One of the young ladies who works at college, she comes out there. Oh, I got to see Mr. Green. I got to see him. And she said, okay, wait, let me see what. And she come back and said, there's a girl out here holding a book, and she wants to show it to you. She said, it's one of our books. Well, she come back, and it was a dated November. It was 2001, I believe. Yeah, 2001. And it was her grandfather had died. And he was an old retired guy, and he had a hobby with Historical Society. So I could call Paul and tell Paul, I said, hey, can you find me some stuff on Napoleon Hill, his dad or the family members? I said, you could share with me. So one day I gave him a biography, and I wrote in there to Paul and thanked him for his work and all, and I signed it, and I dated it November 8, 1970. So her grandfather had passed away, and he was going through his stuff, and she found that book. That was the happiest young lady you ever seen. And like I said, that was about 15 years ago when I gave him the book, and she's bringing that thing in and showing me. So he said, and I didn't expect nothing out of it. But just things like that's enough to make your day.
It is. And I'm on a series now looking at transitions, and you are transition. This foundation was formed by Clement Stone, was it?
Well, Clement Stone put up the legal money to do it, and working with, because he was Napoleon Hill's general manager for 10 years. And that's when he done a lot of the radio program, began the publications and so forth. And that's when the nonprofit got started.
Was it started in Virginia?
No, it started in South Carolina. That's where it was incorporated in South Carolina. Okay. That's where Hills lived at the time, 1962. Right.
I'm sitting in your office at this lovely desk, and you've got probably a 5,000 square foot display in your office. I mean, he's expanding very soon to have the museum. And remember to check naphill.org for the resources. You are a worldwide influencer, and I'm impressed with the people that contact you from countries that you would least suspect. And you were telling me about women's leadership in Saudi.
Yeah, the fact is they were the first foreign country that contacted us after we published a book with Sharon Lecter, Think and Grow Rich for Women. Yeah. Basically success stories showing women are a little different. They have a little different viewpoints. They have so a lot of them have a lot of different priorities, but have raised a family and what have you. And she geared it to that, to success stories of women. And Kingdom of Saudi Arabia was the first foreign country that we did a contract with outside the United States.
That's amazing. And
so there's hope for the world.
So this definiteness of purpose and having a plan and believing in it. We do program our subconscious mind, which makes things happen. And I know just by talking to you today, you do hang around with very successful people, and you compliment them, I would say, because you bring a lot to the table. We're broadcasting this podcast live on Facebook. Greg Reed, hi. Sharon Lecter, hi. Bob Proctor, hi. There's a lot, and Charlie Tremendous Jones. I've only heard his tapes, but he was one that
Charlie.
He impacted a lot of people.
Went to the celebration. He bought hundreds of thousands of our books, and his daughter Tracy's done a tremendous job. She's. I guess she worked for CIA. Charlie always said she worked in a building that had no windows in it. But Charlie had a sense of humor. I know them a long time. But Tracy's done a remarkable job. They're very good. A nonprofit, do a lot of good work. And she's a business person though now. Giving her a compliment. Charlie might have had a more outgoing personality. Tracy's no doubt has a business down pat.
Good.
She's done tremendously well.
Our mutual friend Greg Reed is one that connected us, and Greg's been supportive of Center Vision Leadership Foundation, and we celebrate and help empower leaders. And we figured that consultants charge too much money, so we've come in with a way to support charities and a scale that fits where they are financially and structure-wise. Talk about this foundation does attract money because you have value to give people. You employ good business principles here, and you do get donations. You don't depend on that for your only source of revenue.
No, we get very little. I mean, I've had people like my friend Paulie Mickey in Africa call me once and wanted to talk to me, and I had someone with me and couldn't talk, and I told Nita to give him my assistant, give my cell number, and he called me, and I was out walking that evening, and he just said, kept calling me Mr. Don, would I listen to his story? Yeah, I listened. And he said that he'd read the books. He just lived out on the street. He started out selling sandals and went from sandals to men's suits to sales rep to his own pharmaceutical company. And he said, success through PMA with Mr. Stone. I said, yeah, Mr. Stone's our chairman. I said, Paulie, did you know that Mr. Stone, he wrote a couple books? I didn't know that. I said, yeah, he wrote Believe in Achievement, the Success System Never Fails. I said, you email me your address. I said, I've tried to write it down, but it's Nigeria. I know it's a long address. I said, send it to me. And I said, I'll send them to you. Well, I come in next morning, his address on Regional Lagos, Nigeria. And I sent them to him. And at FedEx, 2 books, thought I did a good deed. I don't know. I don't even know. I didn't write it down. And it was 2 or 3 weeks, I guess. He called and said he'd been in, he distributed, he's the largest distributor of murder drugs in the world. He'd been in North Korea and Vietnam and places he'd been traveling. I guess connected with business, I'm sure. And he said, you sent them books like you said. I said, now, Paulie, my mother told me, just say what you're going to do and then do what you said. I said, lots of people can't do that, but I tried to say what I'm going to do and then do what I said. Yeah. And he said, I'm going to make you a donation. I said, now, Paulie, we accept donation, but we don't solicit donation. Our money's made off our books. He said, I'm going to wire you $100,000.
Whoa.
He wired me $100,000. Need to give him their bank information. He wired $100,000, and I got a hold of him to thank him, and I invited him to come see me. And he told me he had a daughter who was a lawyer, had married and moved to Berlin, and he comes over occasionally. So he came to visit me, and he said, when I come to visit you, I'll bring you another $150,000, and that will make it $250,000. And he gave me another $150,000. And since then, he's given me $10,000 or whatever it was. It's over $300,000. But he'll come to see me, just like he'll come to Napoleon Hill Day once a year. And he'll come from Nigeria to come in, where Napoleon Hill Day lasts a few hours to celebrate. And like I got a note from him. He wanted me to get him a ticket. We have Book Expo. We have a book expo.
Where is Napoleon Hill Day?
It's of course, he's born in October. We try to. It was usually set the third Monday in October. We don't set the last one because that's usually Halloween. So it's the third. We've done it about 20 years, and we've had Charlie Jones speak, Greg Reed, Sharon Lecter, Jim Amos, chairman of UPS, Troy Cathy founded Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I could go on and on. Jim Stovall.
Is that here?
Yeah, it's at the Convocation Center.
Oh,
the public's invited, and all the students come in. They check all the students in. And the fact is, the publisher give away 1,500 books to the kids that attended, the high school kids that attended this year. They called me and said, Jim Stovall, your speaker? Yes, sir. Would you care if we send some books? I said, no, the college, they'll handle them. I'll give you the address. And they send 1,500 books to give away to the kids.
The more I spend with you, the more my jaw hits the ground. I tell the people I work with that leaders, first and foremost, you're not the boss. You're the influencer. And you had a great story. Somebody asked you if somebody worked for you. You said, no, they work with me. We work together. Yeah, you're a very humble spirit, sir.
Well, I mean, I remember I took the bank. The bank was in bad shape. I met with one of the trustees for lunch, and I said, RO, I would like to give all the employees a raise. I've been there a few months. Oh, gosh, we're broke now. We can't do that. I said, he said, we can't afford to. I said, I can't afford not to.
Can't afford not to.
I said, I told you when I come to work, I said, just a token amount to say we appreciate them. I said, because I'm going to make you a lot of money. And I said, you don't have to give me enough now, but when we get to making it, I'm not going to have to ask you for money. You're going to be tickled to death to pay it to me. And I kept my word. And I've always done that. I've never asked for a raise. When we have a meeting, I cover the employees and suggest whatever. And I've always did. I mean, like some of the simple things, we charge on American Express, travel and so forth, and we'll pay for books rather than send a check, sign a check, send it to the CPA, sign it. We'll just put it on American Express, and that gives you 30 days. Not that we don't have the money, but just good business. We've got to use their money for 30 days. And they give you points.
Yes.
Points connect into cards.
Yep.
And I'll look at it when I review the bill before she pays it, sends it off for the other signature. I sign in, a CPA signs over a certain amount. And we get points, and we'll get 15, 20 card, $50 cards ever so often. And they come dressed to me and what have you. I never keep those things. They'll talk me into sometime and do it in 3 ways.
Uh-huh.
But I use that for the kids. And you take a kid going to college, you give him $6 or $8, $50.
Oh my goodness,
that's a big deal. He can go out to places, take his friends, take his mom and dad out, and it's just it may seem like one of them little things, but it's so simple to do, and it pays such rewards.
You have lots of things. I could spend weeks here. I could just spend weeks looking at all the great stuff you have here. As we're wrapping to a close on this nonprofit exchange, at this point in history, we have 11,500 people that are listening, and it's growing by 1,500 a month. So by the time it hits the street, we'll have a few more people, and they'll share it with other people. So as we leave this interview, you've given us lots of nuggets to think about. What's a passing thought, sitting in the chair of a person who's in charge of the future? You've been part of a transition from the previous organization, and I'm guessing you're setting up the transition for the next generation. This is really a legacy project for Napoleon Hill, but you've also added the Don Green legacy and implementation and organizational development to this. So you've added to the legacy of Hill and making sure that it lives on and it's a worldwide influence. So for people who are sitting out there and they feel like they're struggling, what is a word of encouragement for them to get grounded and reverse that encouragement into hope?
Well, the definite purpose, we know, is the starting point of all achievement. But I did a fundraising in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, for after the tsunami. They lost 250,000 people, and there was a psychologist there. I spoke. It was a donation. They said they raised a lot of money, but we just simply went to contribute. And somebody served food. It was a big thing. They were people from the government department of ministry or something. I don't know. I got introduced to a lot of people I don't remember because that's been quite a few years ago. But I remember the psychologist, I had a private conversation with him, or besides him talking was, he said, someone walked up to him and he was talking to someone, and the guy says to the other man, says, I understand you lost everything you had. He said, no, I still got all my family. See, it's perspective. He could have dwelt on the loss of his car and his house, or he could have been thankful. So, I think it's a frame of mind. But he said something further was, he said he had never treated someone for depression that was heavily involved in a cause for other people. In other words, it attract their money. I don't care if it's a passion for saving cats, stray dogs, visiting nursing homes. I mean, I know people that my mom never had an idle minute. Dad would be dead 20 years. She died well off, for standards, 91 years old. And I handled her estate. She had more than $250,000. And Dad never made more than $14. Yet she sent $10 and $15. She cooked and baked and whatever. But if I'd be out there, even with his company, she'd say, I got to make a couple of phone calls. She'd say, Laura, if you took your medicine, now when is it you go to the doctor? If you got somebody to talk to, take you to the doctor, because Laura didn't drive. And she's 90 years old, offered to take someone to the doctor. So, we can make a difference in somebody else's life. And Mom would, I'm sure she missed my dad because she kept a journal for 20 some years. And every journal entry she made, she ended with, I still miss Sid. As my dad.
I still miss Sid.
Still miss Sid.
Where's that card you had? If it's going to happen, I got to do it.
What if it is to be? It's up to me.
If it is to be, it's up to me. Well, yeah. Don Green, you're an inspiration. I want to encourage people people are looking at us on Facebook. Think and Grow Rich has been reissued. It's a hardback. It's got the original cover. It says, for men and women who resist poverty. We've learned a lot today, and there's a lot more to learn. So people can get on your mailing list on your website, and you don't trash them with stuff. You give them useful stuff, right?
That's absolutely right. And we've not had nobody dissatisfied.
Great.
I've never heard somebody say you're selling a bunch of junk or whatever, because all they got to do is look around them. Yeah, it's not that complicated, really. But I think it's like maintaining our weight. Mm-mm. It's simple to know what to do. It's simple to do. It's simple not to do. And guess what? People chose not to do what needs to be done, because most of them know, or they develop that thing someday, or become a victim mentality. I don't care if you use race or sex or location. I attended a thing at Guidepost one time, and this lady, I didn't know it. She's older than me. Mine said Don Green, Wise, Virginia. Someone's up there talking at a Guidepost function. This was in a fancy place in Cleveland that I was invited to. And she said, Wise, Virginia, where is that? And someone's talking, so I said in a low voice, Appalachian Mountains. And she said, y'all have a lot of poverty, don't you? I tried not to call in a conversation. I said, yes, ma'am. Why don't somebody do something to help them people? So this guy goes on for 15, 20 minutes. And so I told her, I said, ma'am, I got to tell you this. I don't want to be rude. I said, but I don't know how else to tell you this. I said, I published a little book called Your Greatest Power, the Power to Choose. And I put it on there. I said, for example, a limo will pick me up to the airport. We're coming down the streets. We cut off to come downtown Chicago. Downtown Cleveland. I remember going by Indians Stadium, and to where was going. And I said, I looked and I saw homeless people back under a bridge. But what I'm trying to tell you is, we have well-to-do people in all parts of the world. We have poor people in all parts of the world, because both riches and poverty are products of our mind. And I said, you can sit through conferences for a week, and if that sinks in on you, you won't learn that much. You won't learn no more than what I'm telling you, that both poverty and riches are a product of our minds. I said, some people are going to do well in the best of time. Some people going to do bad in either way, but they have a choice to make a difference in the thing. And I'll give you a little book before I leave. It's wrote by a psychologist. And I personally have sold one book buyer 200,000 copies. I got a check yesterday for an order of 5,000 copies. And it's a message. It's Your Greatest Power, written by J. Martin Cohey. And it's just simply our right to choose, like we've been talking about. We choose to read Think and Go Rich, or we decide to read a trashy a novel or ever what. But we can make that determination. That's one thing the man gave us, is the right to choose. We can choose what we're going to eat. We can choose what we want to travel. We can choose who our friends are, and so forth and so on. But then we have to live with our choices, good or bad.
Don Green, those are good words to end on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.